and we go to Arkansas. Kyle, what's going on, my man?
What's going on, Blake? Appreciate you having me, man.
No problem, man. I'm glad that you were able to come on as we continue to go around the SEC, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have. We're going to talk some baseball. We're going to talk some football. Let's just start off with football first, as we're in the heart of spring. I gotta throw this out there. I played football with a guy named Cody Kennedy, who y'all hired on that staff, that Sam Pittman hired on that staff. I've seen multiple interviews, and Sam Pittman saying that he's really excited to bring Cody Kennedy, a Louisiana guy. I know he's from Georgia, but has made a lot of roots in Louisiana. Are people starting to get some steam around Cody Kennedy and this new coaching hire for the tight ends?
Well, I think that at first, it's kind of today's nature too. Anytime that you hear of somebody, if you've heard of them before, then you love the hire because usually they're pretty popular. If they're not very, very popular, then you're not going to like it. That's just kind of the way that the world is right now. But I love the hire. He's a young guy, can relate to a lot of these kids that he's recruiting. I know that you said off air when we were talking that you played with him, and then when he finished his college career, spent time at West Georgia, and then joined Sam Pittman at Georgia before he went to Tulane, and did a phenomenal job at Tulane as the run game coordinator, top 20 in the AAC. I think that's their conference, the AAC, the last couple of years, the last 2 years. And then he comes in and being a tight end coach with an offensive line mentality, that's great that we're going to be able to have somebody there that has just more experience in developing the run game, because what's Kendall Briles going to want to do? He's going to want to mix it up, but he's going to want to throw. And so I think just having another guy in there with Brad Davis, with Sam Pittman that has that offensive line mentality, another proven guy, that's just going to be another great thing, especially once we get another one or two running backs behind Traylon Smith. But overall, I love the hire, and I have no reason not to trust any hire that Sam Pittman makes.
Well, and that's the question I was about to ask you, is about Sam Pittman. Is it seems like the Arkansas fans and faithful have really rallied around him. You go get the big name hire, and then now you had to fire him. I'm not even going to talk about it. I know Arkansas fans don't want to talk about the head coach before Sam Pittman, so I'm not going to go there. But have kind of rallied around Sam Pittman and the things that he's done. And look, in his first season, an all SEC schedule, I thought that they fared very well in the things that they did. Now that he's going into his second season, how have the Hogs been doing this spring?
I was very impressed with the spring game. I never really buy in a whole lot to stuff that we see there, just because usually it's a blowout on one side and you're going against each other. So you really don't get that good of a look. We probably won't get a true look until we play Texas in week 2. But I love Sam Pittman. You look at the landscape today, some of the top coaches, you guys down there in Baton Rouge, Ed Orgeron and Mario Cristobal, Dabo Swinney, were all at one point. They were all at one point position coaches and that ended up have been successful head coaches. And I think that Sam Pittman, even though he was never a coordinator before and was not a head coach at the major level, just JUCO, I think that he's done great with especially when you come in and you hire Barry Odom first off, and then you have Kendall Briles right after that, two of the best minds at their respective sides of the ball. And then you also bring in a lot of guys. I really like Jimmy Smith, the running backs coach, with the pipeline that he has there at Georgia. And, we're not going to celebrate 3 wins, but when you consider where this Razorback program was, like you said, under Chad, 4 wins in 2 years, he had as many wins as he did group of 5 losses. Because when you think of Colorado State, North Texas, all that, I mean, it's just as bad as it could get. Yeah, it's just I think that it was the worst hire in the history. I didn't think it at the time when it happened, but I thought that Chad Morris was the worst hire in SEC history. And so just to see the progress from last year, especially in game 1 against Georgia. Now, I know they ran away with it in the second half, but there really wasn't any games where the Razorbacks laid down, whereas it was under Chad. Even there were some games where you would think that they were going to make a run and either come back or hold the lead and hold on to the win, but they just could never do that. And so he's just completely changed the culture for the better. I mean, the Razorback program, the athletic program overall, is just doing a lot of great things right now. And so really it's next up for Sam Pittman to keep building on what he's been able to do.
I'm going to say 2 things. Number one, are you telling me that a line coach could actually become a head coach and win a national title? Hashtag Ed Orgeron. I don't care that a guy was never a coordinator. Doesn't bother me in the slightest, because those kids played for him and it showed. And Kyle, I got to be honest, it showed when they played Georgia, right? Like, this team's kind of rallying around. I don't care that they lost. I mean, I know that you guys don't want to lose, and I understand that. And I have a slogan that fans know that I say losing is never acceptable. But for them and for you guys coming out of that and really just punching Georgia in the mouth, look, LSU was a close game. You had a lot of close games. What is something that you're looking for? All right, so 3 wins in the first season. What are you looking for now? What is the realistic goal for Arkansas in this next upcoming season?
Realistically, I think that they can. I've got them at about 5 to 6 wins right now, winning all the non-cons. I'm not sure about Texas. Sark is rolling 7s. He has just been incredible as the offensive coordinator at Alabama. I mean, props to him, a guy whose life was in shambles a couple of years ago, and here he was the hottest name, one of the hottest names on the coaching carousel, and down at UT, and I expect him to do some great things down there. But I definitely think that the Razorbacks are going to win 5. I'm not quite ready to say that they're going to get that 6th win and make a bowl game. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I just don't know about the offensive and defensive line right now. I feel a lot better about the offensive line, more so than I do the defensive line. We've got, Blake, a lot of 4-star guys coming out of high school. So on paper, I say this on my show all the time, on paper we got tons of talent, just like we did last year in the secondary, and they showed last year that they were able to do some quality things. But I just don't know what the offensive line and the defensive line is going to do. And again, going back to Sam Pittman, Cody Kennedy, Brad Davis, and then you look at Barry Oda, all those guys, there. I think that again, they're going to get the 5. I just can't say the 6 yet. But overall, that's still improvement, and we're not going to settle. I know Arkansas fans seem to be notorious for moral victories or whatever, but I definitely think that they're going to at least be flirting with the bowl game, and I think they could steal one. You don't know really what Missouri's going to do. Eli Drinkwitz did a pretty good job in his first year there. Ole Miss, I think, is going to be really, really upset for what we did to them last season. And so then, of course, Mississippi State, I'm not a big Mike Leach guy. I say on my show all the time that I can't stand the air raid, so I think that we can probably shut that down again. But it's just really, what is that game that they're going to get over the hump and win a game that they're not supposed to win, which I guess you could say that technically against Mississippi State and Ole Miss. But either way, I definitely think that they're going to at least come close to doubling their wins. Might not be saying much, but they'll be close to a bowl game if they don't get there.
No, I think it is saying a lot, Kyle, if we're being dead honest. I mean, if you win 6 games and you go to a bowl game, you're still trending upwards. I mean, when you go from 0 SEC wins to literally doubling or getting 3 and then doubling it the following season, I think that Sam Pittman can have right on track. He's a great recruiter. We've seen that he's done a lot of good things in recruiting, so it'll be really interesting to see what he does there. We do have a lot of fan questions in reference to baseball, and then we'll get back to some football. But Craig Schilling says, #AskKyle, any part of the Arkansas baseball team that you have questions about that would keep them from winning the College World Series?
Right now, it's just pitching. So our baseball analyst, Kevin Bohannon, I was talking with him about it last week on the show. And is there really anything that can slow these guys? Offensively, 70 home runs. Our record is from 2018. Of course, 2018 is a tough season to talk about with Razorback fans, the way that College World Series ended. But the record was 98. Yeah, that was tough. But the record was 98 home runs, and we're already at 70 at this point in the year. And so it's very likely they could break that. But really, it's going to be the pitching. We've had some shaky, especially starting pitching. Kevin Kopp's your setup guy that's there. Usually sometimes he's been a closer, sometimes he's been a setup guy. You've had some decent relievers, and Peyton Paulette has shown that he can be a quality starter, but he can also be he's really, it's just a roller coaster. He's either really, really up or really, really down. Lyle Lockhart, who was your most consistent guy, who's been the Sunday guy since the beginning of the season, he has hardly been able to make it out of the 4th, 5th inning over the last couple of weeks. And so they might do some shaking up there. And then Zeb Vermillion, what's he going to do? It's kind of been between Zeb Vermillion and Peyton Paulette for that Friday spot. But Dave Van Horn really likes Patrick Wicklander at that Friday spot there. He came in a couple of weeks ago, and really outside of Ole Miss, he's pitched great in the SEC. He's kind of back to, or at least showing flashes of what he was his true freshman year when him and Connor Nolan were doing good things. Connor's kind of fallen off a little bit there, but really it's just the pitching right now. Can they hold up? Because we're digging really deep into our relievers way, way sooner than we should be. And so you just got to make sure that you can figure out something and get it turned around so that way you don't wear them out by the time we get to June.
I know this is going to be a stupid question, okay, but from an Arkansas fan perspective, with Van Horn and what happened in 2018, and if they don't, or if they're not able to win a World Series in the upcoming years, if maybe not even this year, are some Arkansas fans going to start getting a little upset with Van Horn? And I'm not going to say fire him, but are they going to start? Is this tide going to start literally turning on him if he can't make a deep push in the College World Series, if not win it?
Sure, there's always that crowd, Blake, and we see it all the time. It's especially during a loss. When we lost 16-1 to Alabama, it was like the end of the world. Or really, any time we lose again, you're just going to have that in every fan base. But one thing that I ask every time I've talked to probably about maybe 10 to 12 former baseball players, and the one question I always ask them is, look, Dave Van Horn's one of the most consistent coaches in the entire country, has been for a long time. What do you say to that crowd who doubts him, that says, yeah, he's a great coach, he can get us to Omaha, but he can't win? Well, Blake, first of all, I'll say it's not Dave Van Horn's fault that 3 guys missed a pop fly there in the College World Series and was one out away. And so, but the fact of the matter is that as hard as it is to do it, and you look at LSU, they've had a lot of great teams, but under Paul, they've only won 1 national championship, should have probably won a couple more. But it is so incredibly hard, especially in baseball. It's hard in any sport. But the thing is, you got to look at it is he's got us in contention just about every single year. And he really just picked up from what Norm DeBryan had built. Norm DeBryan was coaching in the 70s at Fairgrounds in Fayetteville. And now we have Baum Stadium, what it is now, and Baum Walker Stadium. And so there's always going to be that crowd. But I think the realistic fans and the fans that actually know sports a little bit more so than just being a couch coach or whatever they call it, most people understand how important he is, and that the fact that how blessed we are to have him. He's going to retire there, and so it's that small crowd that's always going to say stuff using the keyboard and not in person.
Well, and look, I think that your point just is really hitting home, and I'm sure you can see the comments behind the scenes. If you can't, just hit the comment section. I should have told you before the show. But a lot of LSU fans are saying that too. When you in your analysis about Paul, they should have won more than just the one that they've done now. And it seems like if it continues, that might be the same kind of feeling for Van Horn moving forward. I do have another question from Carl the Cat Don, big baseball fan. He says, #ask Kyle, will the Hogs kick down the door and win the college? That's not the one I was doing. Sorry, hold on. What was the one? Oh, here it is. It's from Craig. My bad. He said, #ask Kyle, do Arkansas fans see LSU as a rival in football in the battle for the Golden Boot? And I'm going to add to that, is Texas A&M Arkansas's biggest rival, or is it LSU in y'all's perspective?
I would say right now that it would probably be Ole Miss. Now,
okay.
Blake, you did a good job picking me to come on, because I'm actually one of the few Arkansas fans that has no problem with LSU. I hate Ole Miss with every fiber in my being. There's
a reason you're here, Kyle. To rudely interrupt you, there's a reason you're here. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, and I just can't stand Ole Miss for various reasons. I could do an entire podcast series on why I don't like them. But LSU fans have always been incredible to me. I actually had, when I was living in Texas, one of my best friends was a LSU fan, and we used to watch games together and stuff. But anyways, I say all that to say that I was hoping this would come up, because I know this goes back to the realistic Arkansas fans. We know that LSU hates Alabama. At Arkansas, whenever we beat you guys in 2014, 2015, I think in 2016, that there was a little bit more hunger, not necessarily to get the boot back, was really just to shut Arkansas fans up, because we're very, just like every fan base, we're vocal on Twitter, we're vocal on social media. And so I think that it kind of depends on the situation. Like those years when it was really close, it was like Arkansas would win a close one or LSU would win a close one, that I think that the players took it a little bit more serious back then. But over the last few years, it's really been just a complete bloodbath. And so outside of, I guess, really 2018, you guys won by a touchdown. But I personally don't really see LSU as a rival. I have nothing but the utmost respect for them. But this was I like the Golden Boot and everything. I've actually had a chance to be right beside it and have a picture and all that good stuff. But I don't necessarily consider LSU a rivalry, just because you guys are rivals with Alabama. And so I always loved the matchup. I used to go to War Memorial Stadium when they would come to Little Rock all the time, and that was a fun tailgate and all that. But I personally don't really consider that a rivalry, just my opinion.
That sumbitch is heavy. That golden boot's heavy, man. I picked that thing up. That sumbitch is heavy, man. Look, I gotta get do some curls for the girls just to pick that damn boot up. I mean, that thing is really heavy. If you have some more questions for Kyle, hit us with the hashtag Ask Kyle. We greatly appreciate him joining the show. We'll let you know where all you guys can get all of his great stuff. An interesting question, because a lot of fans are wanting Paul Mainieri's head. Do you think that Van Horn, which I don't agree with this, and I don't think that he would, but would Van Horn ever leave Arkansas? And not just for LSU. Let's keep LSU out of the equation here. Let's just say if another team came after Van Horn, do you see that he would ever leave Arkansas, or is he pretty just locked in there?
Yeah, he's definitely locked in. He's been there for I guess now about 20 years. And just the facility, I'm not going to go into facility debates or anything like that, but there's no question that Arkansas is in the top 2, top 3. There's no debate there whatsoever. And just with and they've even got more stuff coming up. And so with what he's built and what he has there now, I mean, he's solidified himself as one of the best coaches that we've ever had in all of sports on campus. And so, yeah, there's no way he's around 60, 61 years old. I don't see him. I don't think that you could really put a number that he would take over leaving Arkansas. That's something that I don't see happening.
I don't either. Getting back to football talk here, Kyle, who's going to be the quarterback for Arkansas this upcoming year? I know that Felipe Franks, although took a lot of criticism, I thought did some really good things last year for Arkansas. Who do you think is going to take that spot, and do you think that position is just completely open for Arkansas this season?
Well, Sam has said that it's KJ. That's one of the many things we love about Sam as opposed to Chad. Is Chad always made it like it was just a mystery up until the opening game. The 2 years that he was on campus, he waited until the Monday before game day to announce the quarterback. Sam said that Felipe's our guy last year. This year he has said that KJ is up to this point. Now, I don't see nothing against Malik. Malik does need to develop a little bit more in the pocket. He's got wheels. He's blazing quick, one of the fastest. I don't know if he's one of the fastest guys on the team, but he's pretty dang fast. And so he can throw on the run. He looked really good there in the spring game. But KJ showed me enough. Now, not that my opinion matters, but KJ showed me enough against Missouri last year that this is his team right now. And so long as he does not bust in fall camp and right there up to the beginning of the first game, then I don't see how you don't go with anybody but him.
Last question, I'm going to get you out of here. And I guess because you guys did have the 3 wins and you're continuing to build, there might be multiple. I mean, I know that LSU, who's got a lot of talent, and hell, even Alabama, who has a shit ton of talent coming off a national title, has a lot to replace. The first, and this is going to be a 2-part question. Number one, what do you think is Arkansas's biggest strength going into this football season? And number 2, the flip question of that, what is their biggest weakness going up into this upcoming fall?
Well, you heard the news about Mike Woods, our number 2 receiver, just transferred, and there's all kinds of rumors swirling. It's been all day, really, yesterday and today when he officially announced. I still think that you got to probably put the wide receiver position group up there as your strong point on your team. Either that or your secondary when you got Monteric Brown, Jalen Catalon, who I think is the best safety in the entire country. I know that's biased, but I certainly believe that he is the best in the country. And you got Monteric Brown, him, Greg Brooks. There's a lot of guys that are playmakers in the secondary there. So I would say maybe either I'm gonna give it a 2-part as a tie and give it to the secondary and the receivers. But the weakest point, I'm gonna go back to the D line, just because we got to get a pass rush this year. We've got the guys that are capable of doing that, and we've got the defensive coordinator, and we've got the coaches that are capable of making that happen. It's just with the addition of Jamal Ashley, who came in from Tulsa after we had parted ways with Derek LeBlanc. But I just really question the defensive line. And Blake, I really think that if we do get that pass rush going, that this is going to be a dangerous defense, because we saw at the beginning of last year that this was one of the best defenses in the SEC to start off. Then people started kind of figuring you out. You weren't really getting a pass rush. You had some injuries. You had some inconsistencies. And so that's really going to be the question. Is I think that this pass rush is either going to make or break the way that this defense is.
Man, you've been absolutely fantastic. We're going to have to bring you on as the season gets closer. Look, I love football, and I love SEC football. The one thing, Kyle, and I'm going to get you out of here on this. I lied. Are you going to miss the CBS jingle? Ba, 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 ba. Are you going to miss that jingle when ESPN takes over the SEC?
I am, because it's what I've heard my entire life. Especially when I think of that now, it's obviously all season. But when I think of that, I think of around Thanksgiving Day when we used to play LSU. That's really what it reminds me of. When I was growing up as a kid and going to the tailgates, going to the games and stuff. It was just that was the time of my life. We don't really have much going on at War Memorial. There's a lot of stories going on behind that. We don't really have much going on at War Memorial football wise anymore outside of high school sports. But yeah, I'm for sure going to miss it. I can adapt to change, no question. But that is going to be something to get used to because that's what we've heard forever.
Absolutely. Well, look, the LSU fans love you because LSU scored a run when you were on in their midweek game, so they love you, and we're going to have to bring you back, man. Tell everybody where they can catch all y'all's podcasts and everything that y'all are doing over at the Hawg Talk Podcast.
Well, just like yourself, we are on the Believe Podcast Network. We're also part of the ESPN Arkansas Hit That Line Podcast Network, so you can find us on either one of those. And anywhere you listen, Apple, Spotify, the whole 9 yards. And then you can find us on Twitter at the Hawg Talk, and then also the Hawg Talk on Facebook, and then at the Hawg Talk on Instagram. We don't really post quite as much on Instagram. We're mostly really active on Facebook and Twitter, but you can find us there basically anywhere at the Hawg Talk. And so I got to give some love back to you guys. You guys have been great. Appreciate all the comments. And again, I have nothing but the utmost respect for LSU. And you guys can tailgate with the best of them, and you can play with the best of them too.
Hey, man, all LSU fans I think they want more than wins this year, is to go tailgate and drink liquor and just get obliterated before an SEC or LSU night game. That's what they really want. So hopefully
I got to say, I think that was the one time that I was around a bunch of LSU fans. That was the most liquored up I'd probably seen them before noon of any fan base. It was quite comical. But, hey, that gumbo and that crawfish – well, we didn't have crawfish during football season, but – the gumbo, the jambalaya, I mean, you can't beat it. Can't beat it.
Absolutely. Man, we're going to have to bring you back on. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, Blake. Appreciate it, buddy. We'll take care.
That is Kyle Sutherland from the Hawg Talk Podcast.